All right, today we're going to go way back. I mean, before cash, before credit cards, before any of this crypto stuff. We're going to explore the art of the original deal, bartering. And look, this isn't just about swapping some stuff. It's really the story of how we first learned to do business, human to human.
Yeah, this quote just absolutely nails it, doesn't it? Bartering isn't some dusty old thing you read about in a history book. It's literally the DNA of all commerce. It's the original blueprint for how we learned to negotiate, how we figured out what something was worth, and maybe most importantly, how we learned to actually trust each other enough to make a deal in the first place.
And you've got to understand, this practice is as ancient as civilization itself. I mean, think about it. In Mesopotamia, you were trading your livestock. In ancient Egypt, it was all about that valuable linen. For the Greeks, well, it was their world-famous olive oil and wine. Now sure, currency eventually came along and made everything way more efficient, but the core game, that never really changed. All those raw principles of bartering just kind of evolved into the negotiation tactics we all use today.
But okay, what happens when you can't speak the same language? Or what if you just plain didn't trust the other tribe? Well, humans came up with this really ingenious solution, silent trade. Just picture this for a second. You leave your goods at some neutral spot, maybe a sacred spot, and then you leave. The other party comes along, they check out your stuff, and they leave what they think is a fair trade in return. It's this fascinating, almost ritualistic dance of commerce, and it's built on absolutely nothing but a shared idea of what's fair. So, that brings us to the real heart of it all, the art of the exchange. I mean, in a world with no price tags, no money, no contracts, how in the world did people create a system that actually worked?
Well, the whole system really hinged on solving one massive headache. Economists have a fancy term for it, the double coincidence of wants. I know, it's a mouthful, but the concept is actually painfully simple. It just means I have to have exactly what you want at the exact same time that you have exactly what I want. So imagine you're a fisherman who wants bread, but the baker, he doesn't want your fish. Well, guess what? No deal. It's this incredible inefficiency that basically forced humanity to become master negotiators.
And to solve that problem, these four unwritten rules, kind of like four pillars of exchange, just naturally emerged. First, reciprocity. That was the absolute foundation. The deal had to feel fair if you ever wanted to trade with that person again. Then, you had anchoring, the sheer power of the first offer to set the tone for the whole negotiation. Both sides also had to land on a shared idea of value. And finally, there was your reputation. I mean, in a small village, your word was basically your credit score. One bad deal could ruin you.
But here's the thing. The art of the deal isn't just about what's on the table. It's about this incredibly complex and, let's be honest, often irrational game being played inside our own heads. And this is what we call the mind of the trader.
You see, pretty much every negotiation is a battle between two parts of your brain. On one side, you've got your rational thinking, right? It's trying to calculate objective value, do the math. But on the other side, you've got this whole army of cognitive biases, these weird little mental shortcuts and emotional triggers that secretly guide our decisions and honestly can lead us to make completely illogical choices.
So a classic and really powerful example is the anchoring bias. The very first number that gets mentioned in any negotiation acts like this powerful magnet. If a trader offers, say, 3 goats for your sack of grain, that number, 3, becomes the anchor for the entire negotiation. Every single counteroffer from that point on is tethered to that initial number, whether it was a fair offer to begin with or not. And then you've got loss aversion, which might be even more powerful. Psychologically, the pain of losing something feels about twice as strong as the pleasure of gaining that exact same thing. Just think about it in your own life. Finding a $20 bill on the street feels good, right? But losing a $20 bill, that feels absolutely awful. This fear of getting ripped off often makes us prioritize avoiding a loss over actually securing a great gain.
And these biases, well, they're exactly what make those universal levers of persuasion so incredibly effective. It doesn't matter if you're an ancient trader or a modern-day CEO, you're using these same principles. Things like scarcity. Hey, this is the last of the season's grain. Or social proof. Everyone else is trading 2 chickens for this. These are the invisible forces that have been tilting deals in one direction for thousands of years.
Okay, so what about today? You might be thinking bartering is just some ancient relic, something we left behind. But you'd be wrong. It is alive and well, my friends. It's just gone digital. Welcome to Bartering in the Digital Age.
Seriously, it's happening all around us, a lot of the time just hiding in plain sight. Every time a tenant who's a great handyman gets a break on their rent for doing some repairs around the building, what is that? That's pure modern bartering. It's a completely cashless transaction based on a simple exchange of value. And it is absolutely exploding in the creator economy right now. When a brand sends a creator a new camera in exchange for a review video, what do you call that? It's bartering. The brand is trading a product for the modern currency of exposure and influence. It is a multi-billion-dollar barter ecosystem. This whole resurgence has spawned an entire digital infrastructure to support it. You've got apps like Buns and Swap.com for trading physical things, but it gets way more creative with things like childcare co-ops, where parents are literally trading babysitting hours, or time banking, where you trade an hour of your skill for an hour of someone else's. Yep, the oldest form of commerce now has an app for that. But whether it's done with goats or with gigabytes, bartering is not without its challenges. And that brings us to the deal maker's dilemma and the risks you're always going to find in the trade.
So some of the risks are timeless. You still have to trust your trading partner. And that old double coincidence of wants problem, it can still make finding the right deal incredibly inefficient. But now we've got modern problems too. In a lot of countries, the government actually considers the fair market value of your trade as taxable income. And of course, those cognitive biases we talked about are always there, just waiting to trick you into a bad deal.
So what does this all mean for us today? Well, bartering, in its purest form, it forces a level of negotiation, of understanding, and just plain human connection that a simple tap to pay could never, ever replicate. Which leaves us with a final, and I think pretty crucial question. In a world of these increasingly instant, anonymous transactions, what are we losing? What is the real value of looking someone in the eye, whether it's literally or digitally, and just making a deal, human to human?